Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, the last video that we made when we were together was, and let me check what it was. Your memories create your world. Your memories create your world. And before that, we talked about the past, the present, and the future. And the fact that all your memories are in the past. And the past determines your present world. So, now this week, I already put on the top what we're going to be talking about. And it is what the senses sense. Now, for our discussion today, we're going to be talking about the 5 senses. I hope I can remember them. You start off with your eye, and then your hearing, and then your touch, and then your smell, and then your taste. Well, those are basically what we call our senses. So in this little diagram that I've already drawn, I want you to think about, first of all, here we are. Oh, I should really draw a picture of who you are. And for right now, I'm going to draw a circle. Why? It's round. So, draw a big circle. Represents you. Now we're going to change that in a while, but for right now, it represents you. Now, outside of you, separated from you, and that's why the gap is here. The separation between you and what's outside of you. The gap really isn't that big. The gap is quite small. So, what's outside of you? Now, in other videos that we made over the past, I don't know, year, 6, 8 months, we talked about what's outside of us before. And we come to the conclusion that everything is outside of you. What do we mean by that? Well, all the trees are outside of you. Nature is outside of you. Your job is outside of you in this outside atmosphere. Your shoes are outside. Your car. The mailman. Anything that you can mention. Now, if you think about it, if you start to say, well, I'm going to think about my heart. See, my heart's inside. Well, the heart is in the body, but if you think about it, you can take your heart out. They've replaced a lot of hearts. It doesn't have to be there. So anything you think of that is an object is going to be outside of you. You probably didn't think about that. Well, a lot of times we don't think about the obvious that's in the illusion. That's a shame. Because we're in the illusion and we don't know it because we don't have any idea what the illusion is. So this is going to be part of that, looking at what's outside of you. I'm going to suggest is everything. So I'm going to put that down. Everything is outside of you, including me. So, everything. That's important to remember. Everything. Everything. Now, what form is the everything in? What form is the everything in that's outside of you? Well, a scientific fact, everything is energy. So if everything is outside of you is only energy. So we can put that down. Now we have everything, and it is energy. Energy. So right away, we kind of have a problem with our world because we think outside of us are objects. And that's going to be problematic. Now, how do you find out what's outside of you? What do you use? Do you use to find out what's outside of you? The senses. So, now here's why I drew this the way I did. Now, everything is outside of you. There's a gap between you and what's outside. What goes between that gap? Information. And how does it get from outside to inside of us? Our senses. So, straddling this gap between what's outside and what's inside are your five senses. So, I got to draw a little square here. No, I use circles. I kind of like circles. They're non-descriptive a lot of times. So, we got 5 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we know we talked about them. We have sight, and we have sound, and we have the kind of scientific kind of name is visual, and then sound, auditory, and then touch, kinesthetic, and then smelling, olfactory, and then gustatory, taste. So we have these 5 senses. Let me make them a little clearer, because we're going to be working with them. Now, I hope I didn't screw them up too much. Now, you a lot of people spend their whole life studying and working with and helping people that have trouble with their senses. You might think about doctors. You have doctors that work with touch, which is part of the central nervous system, and how it relates to the brain and all kinds of stuff. And he spends his whole life dealing with that. And then we have doctors that work with sight, and they spend their whole life, working with glasses and macular degeneration and cataract, all kinds of stuff. So they spend their whole career working in each one of these areas because they're magnificent. Your senses are magnificent. But we're not going to spend any time looking at what's inside of the sense. If it's sight or sound or touch or olfactory or gustatory. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is recognize how magnificent they are, and they have an input that they get from the everything. They take in, each one of our senses are designed to take in a certain amount, a certain type, a certain frequency of energy from what's outside of us. Now, they're going to do fantastic things with it, but when they're done, they're going to give information in the form of data to what we're calling the inside. That's all they're doing. The senses are transforming the energy from the outside to electromagnetic and chemical signals in the form of data that we can use on the inside. That's all they're doing. Now, you see, I stepped a long way into getting out of looking at all of the interconnection and detail, because these are all interconnected too. The sensory organs rest in the body. Your eyes are in your body. Your sound is from your ears that pick up energy and transform it into electrical, magnetic, and chemical signals. Each one of these is just giving you, what we're calling inside you, information. That's what the senses do. You don't have to, unless you're a doctor and that's your job, and you do that job every day. I don't have to know all the detail about this. You can see I wear glasses, so I go to a optometrist or specialist in the eyes, and he corrects my vision so that I'm getting as much of the information as I can in a realistic way. But it's all data. So I want you to think of your senses as just instruments to transmit information. Now, so they're getting a lot out here that are going through the senses. Why is that? Because everything is outside of you in the form of energy. And that energy has certain frequencies. And when the energy oscillates or ruminates or moves around, your senses pick up the differences. We're designed to see differences, really, and to pick up the differences in the area where sight is, or sound, or touch, or olfactory, or gustatory. They're just picking up information and transforming that outside energy system into an inside energy system that you can use and interpret the data. So we're going to change this a little bit. What you're doing is you're getting information, and again, you're going to interpret the information. Makes your world. The information the senses give you determine your world. It does that very strangely. So you might not have thought about it this way, but this is what happens. You get the data in there, and there's a lot of it. Much of it is unneeded, unnecessary, for you to create your world. Because you are creating your world, as we already talked about, through your past experiences. through your memories. Now, you're going to begin to see how important your memories are. And begin to recognize, even though they're important, they're not real. They're creations that you've made. Now let's see how you're doing that. You're getting all this data inside of you, and most of it, unless you have some reference information for it, you won't know what to do with it. Unless you have some background in the data that's coming in here, it's useless. So the first thing that happens is you determine of the data. Now where's my little thing? I'll use this. Okay. Now we're going to take this little circle out this way and begin to recognize that the information that comes inside, you are going to filter to determine of the information that's there, what's important for you. Now again, there are a lot of theories about how you do that, but the end result is you do focus, you do filter all the information that comes to you through your past. What's the past? Your memories. That's what's in the past. So this information that's coming to you through your senses, with all that information in it about the outside everything energy system, there's a lot of energy, a lot of data there, and a lot of it won't make any sense to you. Well, it won't make any sense. You have no reference to it. So you will, now here's this big filter system, here that is going to take this data and filter it for what is important for you. So what's important for you? What you know to be true for you. And what would that be? Your past experiences. So the elements in the filter that look at this information. Now, scientifically, if you talk to someone, no, you notice I'm not using a lot of scientific language. But if you went to somebody that had a lot of scientific background and in the body and everything, well, they would say, well, we filter that information through the limbic system, through the hippocampus and the limbic system. But they don't know quite how it's done. So I'm just drawing a model of what happens. But we don't quite know how it happens. But we know it does. So you're going to have this filter system, which is based on what you know, which is your past memories. So, and where are they stored? In the subconscious mind. In the subconscious mind, where nobody knows where that is either. A lot of good theories. You have no idea how many memories you have. Just to give you some idea, if you're sitting down without using past memories created before the age of 3, you couldn't stand up. If you are standing up and wanted to sit down, you couldn't do that without using memories that you created before age 3. Every movement in your body, every winking of your eye is because you have memories on how to do that. And you bring them in and signal your brain, I want to wink my eye. And they say, oh, okay, I will send the right signals to the muscles around your eye to cause it to wink. Those are all memories. You have millions and billions and trillions of memories, but you don't think so. But you do. It's just not a memory of getting married or having your first child or graduating from school. You have memories on how to wiggle your nose, bend your finger. You get many, many memories that, of course, you didn't think of. That's part of the illusion. So, getting back here, we're going to take this out right here because I want to put in your subconscious mind. Why? That's where all your memories are. And your memories are your filter system. Your memories are your filter system. So you're using memories and you're going through, and a lot of the data that's coming from your senses, you are saying, no, I don't need that. I don't need that. That's not important to me. And that all falls out. All falls out here is dust within the filter. So the elements within the filter are your memories. And you're filtering them out. And on the other side of the filter is less information than was coming to it. Now, incoming data, 11 million bits of data per second. I'll put a link to that information because we did that in the past. Your subconscious mind filtering the information operates at 400 billion bits of data per second. Bits of data, the smallest increment of information. In computer language, it's either a 0 or 1. So 4 billion bits of data per second is what the subconscious mind can handle. And so it's well up to the task of taking this information and filtering it. And out of this information comes your world. This is where your world comes from. There it is. There's your world. Magnificent. You got a magnificent process here with all your senses and how beautiful they are in bringing that information to you. And for your survival. This is a survival system. You are filtering out what you don't need of this information and letting through the filter the information that is important to you because you have references to it from your past. You have references. If you have a lot of water, you got references in here because you have memories. How to swim, how to paddle, how to put on a life jacket, whatever is required for you to be around water. Those are all memories. So, out of all that information comes your world. Now, you think your world is out here. No. That's just raw data, raw information. This is your world, created by your past. Now, we talked about how fast the information comes through the senses. It comes 11 million bits of data per second. The subconscious mind filters it at 400 billion bits of data per second. Now, in this model, there's one thing we left out so far, and that is your conscious mind. So down here with the dust, I'm going to put in your conscious mind. Let me take a little bit of that off. Okay. Conscious. Make believe this is conscious mind. Now, it might not look like it, but this is just a model anyway. Now, the conscious mind is what you're aware of. The conscious mind tells you about your world. How fast did it operate? Well, we know because we're conscious. It's the conscious mind. So we can test it. And science has tested it. And you can go on Google, because they got a lot of stuff on there, and look for how fast the conscious mind will operate. And it will tell you maximum. It operates at 100 bits per second. 100 bits per second. Now in this model, just kind of think about that a second. Okay? Think about it. I'm winking. That's a memory. Okay? Incoming data, 11 million bits of data per second. Processing energy of the subconscious mind, 400 billion bits of data per second. Conscious mind, 100 bits of data per second. Which one do you believe? The only one you know about, the slow, pathetically slow, conscious mind. That's what you believe, because basically that's all you know. You have no idea that there is a system that you operate under. That's why it's an illusion. You think everything is conscious. Oh, I've got a conscious mind. I know exactly what it is. I'm looking at my world. And what you're looking at is your perception on the inside. Look closely again. Your body, your conscious mind, your subconscious mind has no idea what this is. The only part of you that has any idea what is going on outside of you is your senses. And it's bringing you information. And the absolute first thing you do is to take out all the good stuff. And that's why you may have heard the old saying, you see what you want to see, and you hear what you want to hear. You don't hear what's out here. You hear what's in here. And what's in here is after all the filtering through your past. And then your conscious mind looks at the inside perception of all of this transaction and projects it and projects it and projects it onto the outside. onto the outside. And so you believe, because your slow conscious mind, you believe your world that you created in here is out here. Magnificent. Terrific. And it's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. But you believe it's true. And so you run your world based on this. You don't run your world based on this. By the way, what's another name for what's out here? This everything that's out here has several names. But we confuse them when we move them inside here in our world. We confuse them when we move them in here. One of them right now is a very scientific problem, and it's called conscious. Consciousness. Consciousness. Oh, what's consciousness? Oh, we know. Well, consciousness says, well, I'm aware of it. No, you're aware of what's in here. That's not consciousness. That's just what you're aware of with your conscious mind. Your conscious mind has no idea what's going on out here. But out here is consciousness. And maybe in another video we'll talk about consciousness. But it's not inside. Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing comes from nothing. If you're conscious here, it's because of consciousness here. This outside everything is not determined by the little dinky stuff you're doing in here, creating that little world that you have. Even though this world is taking us to the moon and taking us all over, and we do all kinds of fantastic things, it's minuscule compared to what's going on out here. Interesting. It's interesting how the illusion operates and how you believe the slow conscious mind knows everything. It doesn't. So, next time we get together, we'll talk about some more interesting things in the illusion. Oh, won't that be fun? Now, down below, you might think, that guy's crazy. Where's he come up with all this goofy stuff? You can put a comment or a question. And if you stay to the end, which is quite long, this one's a little longer than usual, you will maybe hit the like button. Because you stayed to the end, it must be something you like. Now, if you want to hit the not like button, go to somebody else's website. I don't have that many people watching anyway. Why? Nobody wants to know. Shh, it's a secret. Nobody wants to know. They're living in an illusion. They want to know that their world is true and their world is absolute and you can't change it and it's written in stone. Now your world isn't written in stone. It's written in silly putty. And it changes and moves around all the time. But you so want it to be stone, unmovable, but gives you a sense of direction and security. It's not secure. It's moving all the time. Oh, Interesting things to think about. Now, until we see each other again, have fun, enjoy yourself, and we'll see you next time.